welcome to the channel. This is Steve Moliva, human special coach. Topic of the day is fasting, how fasting can improve or impact your life experience as a human. So fasting is in a meant is a huge topic in modern day, and the popularity from fasting, comes from all the information that we have today on the topic, and some of the great benefits that are associated to it. But fasting has been part of a human history for centuries, and including from coming from some of the religions out there like Islam, where they do practice fasting during Ramadan, and even Christianity. In those religious contexts, fasting was seen as a purification of the body, and but really it was used also in different part of the world in those manners. But today, with the understanding that we have of fasting, we can confirm like some of the benefits out there. One of the main benefits of fasting is your ability to lose weight. From fasting allows you to reduce your calorie intake. That's how you lose weight naturally. But it also, when you fast for a prolonged time, it allows your body to tap into the stored fat that you have in your body and use that as a by burning the fat from fasting. That's when you're losing weight. And then from losing weight, some of the benefits, right? It can improve your looks, where you feel more, you look better, right? From losing weight, you feel like you have your natural looks or shapes are more visible. You feel lighter as you move, right? You feel lighter on your feet, you feel lighter on the clothes, they fit better. And all that can also increase your level of confidence, and your heart is loving it. But also at the metabolic level, right? Fasting can help improve your blood sugar regulation. So when you eat a meal, your blood sugar increase, and when it increases on that level, there are two organs that basically play a role in your body regulation, like your pancreas and your liver. When your blood sugar is high, your pancreas is going to release insulin to it's a way of communicating to the liver, meaning that the blood sugar is so high. I release insulin, the liver obtain the signal of insulin, and then it is going to reduce the grab the sugar from the blood and store it in the liver. And when the blood sugars are low in your body, right, the pancreas, which is the main actor in the regulation, is going to send another hormone called, forgot the name of the hormone, which is going to send a message, which sends a message to the liver to send more glucose into the blood. So this regulation process is actually improved with fasting, and your cells become better at responding to insulin, so they can do that job better. And also, fasting reduces insulin levels. So for people that have diabetes and things like that, like fasting can be a great helper in helping control the blood sugar levels. And also people that have issues with insulin, responses to insulin, fasting can also help there. But other metabolic parts that fasting also improve, it can improve your high blood pressure, which basically, I'm not going to go into detail. It can improve your levels of cholesterol. Fasting can also reduce inflammation within the body. One of the main thing that benefit that I like with fasting is that it allows you to, it's almost like the relationship you have with food and hunger. It allows you to control it. Meaning that prior to fasting or any type of fasting, as soon as you feel hunger, you quickly have to respond, or I'm gonna go eat and stuff like that. But as your body become used to fasting, when you feel hunger, you don't necessarily react to it in the way that you used to do in the past. Now that hunger and your relationship to it can actually change, and you can have a better control of that hunger through fasting. Also, fasting allows you to, because you don't eat as often, it allows you to every meal feels a bit more special. All right. And because the meal is more special, then you're allowed to be really more present in the meal and taste it and all those stuff. And you tend to taste, you really can really taste even the food better because you don't eat as much. So when you eat, it's really more special. Fasting allows you to free time, give up more time. We all in a busy society, we all fighting for time, but the fact that you don't eat as much or you don't spend as much time, you don't spend as much time eating, that time that is freed up for you to do other stuff, you know. What else? Another key benefit of fasting is that because your body number one fuel source is glucose. When you fast, your glucose level will go down, and when they're really low, it forces your body to tap into, like I was saying earlier, fat. And the body take fat from the muscle, and it turn that fat into ketone, and then ketone become the number one fuel source. This is actually an evolutionary path that we have within our body. It's coming from our ancestors, which maybe they would stay a prolonged time without food. And this is how the body was able to still provide another fuel source while the food, the glucose, the food wasn't available. This allowed the body to be more efficient and using an alternative source of fuel, keystone. And then fasting can also increase your energy level. So these are some of the benefits of fasting, and you can see how, as a human being, in terms of health, it could do a lot of great things. But now, how do you fast? Before you get into any type of fasting, you have to understand that fasting is actually pressure that you put on your body. So it's very important to be careful for those that already have some kind of medical condition. I would really recommend you to really be careful and maybe check with your doctor before you get into fasting, especially those that have a condition of they already have low sugar. You don't want to go and do fasting. That's going to even put more pressure, and that could be dangerous. But for the person that's relatively healthy, in good health with no medical condition, fasting could be a great thing with all the benefits that are listed. Now, how do you do fasting? I recommend to do fasting in a way that you start slow and you progress over time. There's this thing called intermittent fasting, right? A good way to start, maybe you can you say you eat 3 meals a day on average, and you snack in between. A good way to start fasting is slowly, by removing the snacks in between the meals. You go that for about a week or two when your body get used to it. Now that you've removed the snacks in between the meals, now you start by removing maybe breakfast. All right. Then for about a week or two, you go only lunch and dinner. And then over time, after 2 weeks, you go and you remove breakfast and you remove lunch and you try maybe only dinner. And then you play around, but allow it to be progressive. Don't just jump into like a deep fasting. But some of the popular fasting, intermittent fasting, there's like 16 and 8. So you, from the last meal that you ate, let's say you eat at 6 p.m. your last meal, or 8 p.m., you count another 16 hours before you eat the next meal. Okay, so let's say 6 p.m. is your last meal, 12 hours from that is 6 a.m. Another 10 a.m. would be your next meal, right? So you can go 16 and 8, and then you can, as you get better with that, that could be skipping breakfast. As you get better with that, you could do 14 and 6. Yes, no, 16 and 8. So 14 and no, sorry, 16 and 8. You fast for 16 hours and you ate in a 8-hour window. Once you get better at that, you could do 18 and 6, meaning you fast for 18 hours and you eat on a 6-hour window. Give your body time, right? 2 weeks, give your body about a week or two to adjust. And then from 18, you can get into 20 hours of fasting and 4 hours of eating window. And then from there, right, you basically have fasted for 20 hours. then your body would have become also very adjusted at that. At that point, your hunger is really controlled. You're not as hungry, and really your calorie restriction has has been almost maximized. But from there, also, some people could do prolonged fasting where the 24 hours they could go fasting in a 2 day fasting where they don't eat the meat until the next 2 days. Some people could do three, so for the person that's really healthy and they want to explore the boundaries of their body and their fasting, prolonged fasting is also a good, a good thing to try. But like I say, be careful with the prolonged fasting. As you fasting, I would recommend, some people do dry fasting. Me personally, I include water as part of my fasting routine. When you do prolonged fasting, like more than 24 hours, make sure you include like minerals as like salt and such as part of, because as you going for the prolonged fasting and you're still going to use the restroom and piss, and when you pissing, you actually, your body is releasing the losing those minerals which you need to replenish them. As you fasting is going to make your experience of fasting more bearable, I would say. So I would say that you can play around and try the different ways of fasting, and remember to, like, when you fasting, make sure your body still need to be nourished. So if you're going to fast, make sure that during the time that you're going to eat in your eating window, make sure you eat quality food and food that your body needs. I made a video on the type of nutrients that your body needs. You can check it out, but it's very important to eat properly when you do the fasting. You could play around with the different fasting, but really remember that long term, my suggestion is to understand that fasting is a lot of pressure on the body, and I don't recommend to do fasting for extreme length of time. I think it's good to do, especially the long fasting, like a one-off to type of kind of reset your body and stuff like that. But it's important to keep your body fed. It's something that we cannot play around with food. Your body needs to be fed, but at the same time, when you do fasting, like I say, you could do in a way that the fasting of 16 to 8 hours, 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating. This is something that you can actually maintain for a longer period of time. But the extreme fasting was long, don't do it for a long time, because your body really needs to eat, and it needs to get the nutrients. When I started fasting, I tried all of these. I started with 16, then 18, then 20, and as for a long time I was at 20. And but I realized when I was doing the fasting, I was not replenishing my body properly the way it needed. And one of the big problems that I faced with the intense fasting, I was also doing a lot of exercising. So I noticed that, especially at one point, I was doing the 20 and 4, and that I was doing that for a long time, and I'm talking about months. I would just go 20 and 4, and I felt comfortable there. But then my nutrition was not as good. I wasn't replenishing my body as I was supposed to. And one of the things that I could see as a problem that made me change my approach, I actually saw that around my gut, it started to get bigger, which doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm fasting for 20 hours, and why do I have a gut almost like I'm drinking a lot of beers? That didn't make any sense. So I did a lot of research. I found out that as I'm fasting, because fasting is pressure on your body, it's the body actually was releasing cortisol, which is like a stress hormone around the gut. And all that's what translated into the big gut. So I had to basically change my approach and make sure that I eat properly, because when you eat properly, that gut, my stomach would flatten actually. So it's very important. I found out my sweet spot is between 16, 8, or 18. And when I go more than that, it's become a little bit too much. When I'm talking about something that I can maintain long term, 16 or 18 is a sweet spot for me. But everyone is different, and it's important to remember all the stuff that I pointed out. At the end of the day, don't do the extreme fasting for too long. You can do a more like a shorter fasting that you, if it's something you want to prolong do it more like 16, even a 12 hours fasting is it's already great, and it's already starting to do a lot of great benefits for the body. That's pretty much all I wanted to say about fasting. Yes, fasting can definitely transform your experience as a human being, and also can give you the confidence that your body can actually function more efficiently. Almost like your body is almost like a car that maybe you have an SUV that needs a lot of gasoline to go maybe 100 miles. But you, when you're fasting, it's almost like your car doesn't need as much gasoline, but can go the same distance. And also the body becomes better at doing other functions because it's not necessarily some of the benefits that I mentioned from fasting improve your body system. This is all I have for today. Thanks for watching.